She has the energy of someone who hasn't had the life that she's had. I think that's one of the things that people often find interesting or inspiring about her.
Well, at some points of the day, this center will be solar powered completely.
Semester, I really needed something to actually like wind down, relax, and get in touch with myself.
Welcome to University Beat. I'm Denise White, and tonight we'd like to introduce you to an extraordinary young woman who turned to social media to save her life. She's a student here at USF, and she's an inspiration. Our Hetal Gandhi has her story.
USF sophomore Mary Lumapis sits in psychology class with dreams of going to medical school, a career inspired by her illness illness.
The first semester was hard because I couldn't walk to places very far without, my legs would swell up and they'd turn bright red and it'd be a little painful, and so I'd have to like put my feet up all the time.
Hospital visits like these are routine for Mary since she was 5. She beat cancer 3 times, underwent a risky bone marrow transplant, and suffered severe damage to her kidneys.
She has the energy of someone who hasn't had the life that she's had. And I think that's one of the things that people often find interesting or inspiring about her.
Mary's biggest supporter, her mom, who was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. The two actually went through chemo at the very same time. But during Mary's first year at USF, her mom's health took a devastating turn.
And I didn't take good care of myself because I was taking care of her. And then and I went back to school because I promised her I would go back to school because she didn't want anything that happened to her to keep me from continuing on with what I was doing. So I wanted to make sure she knew that I was going to go back to school.
When she did return to USF, Mary started having trouble breathing.
I called my doctor and I said, look, something's wrong. I've either got pneumonia or I've got fluid in my lungs and I'm gonna go in.
As Mary was in the hospital dealing with her own health scare, her mom moved to hospice and was only able to speak to Mary by phone.
I told her that I loved her and not to worry about me because I'll be fine and I'll miss her, but I love her. And
it was the last time Mary would ever talk to her mom. The loss absolutely heartbreaking, yet Mary somehow found the strength to stay in school with a lot of help from the USF community, including her roommate, Kristen Trong.
I go to support her. She's my best friend. We're almost like sisters.
Mary's visits to the hospital became even more frequent after learning she needed a kidney transplant.
I really want to start a campaign to find a kidney, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, let's do it.
Ta-da! Together with other USF students, they launched the Share Your Spare campaign, which included registration drives on campus, posts online, and lots of buzz through social media.
eventually the Oracle, which is a student newspaper, they got a wind of it and they ran a story on it. And then Bay News 9 got wind of it. They ran a story on it.
An anonymous donor came forward after seeing that story and gave Mary the life-saving gift she'd been waiting for.
And I just remember she told me, and she knows I don't cry that often. And I started crying.
The way the university community came around Mary to make this happen completely floored me.
The Share Your Spare campaign was a huge success, and Mary came up with yet another creative campaign to share the good news.
I love surprises.
So Mary teamed up with the Honors College to come up with a concept for a fake award. The guest of honor, her father, who was in for a huge surprise.
We're actually here because I wanted to tell you, in a kind of a fun way, that a kidney donor has found me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what a pleasant surprise.
He was like, really? And his eyes were like, whoa. And he's like, I've been waiting so long, you don't know, I pray for this every day.
Suffice it to say that people were fighting back tears. And
The donor, who wishes to remain anonymous, was in the room for the big announcement, along with all of Mary's biggest supporters at USF, including her best friend Kristen, who says this campaign was life-changing.
I'm excited too. We'll be able to like go out to eat, and she won't have to like bring her pills as much. She won't have as many food restrictions. So we'll be able to do more fun things.
the only thing I can say is that Mary has more tenacity than a classroom full of people her age. I mean, her spirit and her desire to obtain an education, and not just an education, but a medical education, so that in turn she can help others who've been through her or similar physical challenges. It's just an amazing testament of who she is as a person.
Mary's passion to pursue medicine is a tribute to everyone who made her medical miracle possible, a miracle she wishes her mother had lived to see.
An action that somebody who like loved me so much and devoted her life to like try to help me to live the best they could, and they're doing that is like really cool, and I'm really grateful for that.
For University Beat, I'm Hedel Gandhi.
Florida's presidential primary is over, but the analysis of exactly who won what votes goes on. A few weeks ago on University Beat, USF political science professor Susan McManus said all eyes would be on Hillsborough County because its demographics so mirror the nation's. As McManus put it, as Hillsborough goes, so goes Florida. And as Florida goes, so goes the nation. So how did Hillsborough go?
Once again, Hillsborough County showed that it's the microcosm of the state. It voted as the state at large voted. It voted for Trump on the Republican side and Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side, and both, of course, won Florida. The biggest surprise was actually the margin by which Marco Rubio lost to Donald Trump. It looks like it was a little bit too late. He was so focused on the states that came ahead of us in the primary election cycle that he didn't get home to Florida in enough time, and sometimes you can take your home state for granted and think that you can easily recover lost time. That didn't happen. But the exit polls also suggest that immigration was a big issue, and people who felt about that, strongly about that, went heavily for Donald Trump.
McManus expects the nominees of both major parties, whoever they turn out to be, will spend a lot of time in Florida between now and the general election in November. USF's plan to move its Morsani College of Medicine to downtown Tampa has gotten a big boost from the Florida legislature. Lawmakers have approved an additional $22.5 million for the project, on top of $17 million allocated last year. USF already has dedicated the site for the new 11-story building, which will house both the med school and the Health Heart Institute. Meanwhile, Tampa General, which is the med school's main teaching hospital, has announced a $3.5 million donation. The money will fund a faculty chair in cardiovascular sciences and research into brain and nervous system diseases. The university's Mumma School of Business is getting a new program thanks to a nearly $3 million gift from a Naples couple. The venture is called the Frank and Ellen Daviler Entrepreneurship Program. It'll help USF undergraduates start and sustain new businesses. The Davilers, over the years, founded several companies, mostly in the engineering and technology industries. They say they chose USF for their gift because of the school's nationally recognized entrepreneur programs and its history of graduating successful students. Florida may be known as the Sunshine State, but we don't always live up to that name, at least not when it comes to solar energy. Industry figures show Florida ranking 3rd in the nation for rooftop solar potential, but when it comes to actually using that potential, we rank 13th. Some USF researchers hope to change that. University Beat's Mark Schreiner has their story.
Behind this fence is a farm, a solar energy farm. The solar thermal power plant is part of the University of South Florida's Clean Energy Research Center which is led by Professor Yogi Goswami.
This plant is actually putting electricity into the building which is next to the plant. If it produces more energy than the building can use, it can feed it back into the grid.
The plant's 200 solar panels generate about 50 kilowatts of power, but work is being done to double its capacity. The system senses sunlight, or more precisely, the amount of solar radiation coming in. The panels then follow the sun automatically throughout the day, or shut down if there's not enough sunshine. However, the plant currently doesn't have a way to store the energy generated.
We're looking for funding from the state so that we can not only provide storage here, but also demonstrate to companies how they can use storage to overcome intermittency of solar.
Goswami says one storage system they're developing is much more cost-effective than large batteries. It's fueled by golf ball-sized capsules of salt wrapped in ceramic.
As salt is heated, it melts and therefore stores a lot of energy. And when you take energy out of it, it freezes back and releases that energy.
Goswami, who was recently named to the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame, says the plant serves another purpose as well. It's a tremendous on-the-job classroom for students.
It's not enough for them to read it from the textbooks or hear lectures. It's very important for them to be able to come and see a plant like that, be able to touch it, to be able to work on it, and if needed to fix it if it's not working.
So here everyone's coming from a different background. I'm coming from a civil engineering background, but I'm now going to mechanical. There's other students that they have backgrounds in mechanical and chemical. In our lab, it's a collaboration of all these students.
In addition to learning about solar power, USF students are coming up with their own ideas, and they're putting them into practice.
All around here in front.
Environmental Science and Policy senior John Pills has received approval to add over 1,000 solar panels to the solar film system already installed on the roof of the Marshall Student Center.
Well, at some points of the day, this center will be solar powered completely. As in, this building will be putting out more energy than it's taking out from the grid.
It's really about student education and empowerment. And so we like to think of ourselves as a laboratory as well, where students learning some amazing things inside the classroom, but then get to apply those things outside the classroom in facilities such as mine.
The project has received over $1.4 million from the USF Students' Green Energy Fund. That's a student fee-financed effort that encourages everyone at USF to come up with ideas that reduce campus greenhouse gas emissions.
To me, the most important thing about the Student Green Energy Fund is that it does take student ideas from any kind of student. It doesn't mean you're a researcher. It doesn't mean you're a business student. It doesn't mean you're anything that might traditionally be, well, associated with green energy.
Other solar projects on the Tampa campus include the Flex House, an energy-efficient modular home built for an international competition in 2011. And the work isn't limited to just one campus. Thanks to a $1 million grant from Duke Energy, USF St. Petersburg installed one of that city's largest and most efficient solar arrays on top of a campus parking garage last year. The system powers the garage 24/7 thanks to a pair of huge batteries made by electric car maker Tesla.
It's not only a great thing for students, but for everyone in our community. The more people are used to seeing big energy solar arrays on roofs, the more people are going to want them and the more it's going to become normal.
For University Beat, I'm Mark Schreiner.
2 members of the USF women's basketball team have been honored by the American Athletic Conference. Forward Kitya Laska is the league's Freshman of the Year. Laska averaged more than 13 points a game during the regular season, including a season-high 38 against SMU. The conference also named senior guard Courtney Williams its Scholar Athlete of the Year. Williams will graduate in May with a degree in criminology and a 3.14 grade point average. Athletics dominate this week in USF history. In 1968, the school was admitted to the NCAA. In 2009, the women's basketball team won the WNIT championship for the first time with a 75-71 win over Kansas. And during this week in 2014, Orlando Antigua was named head coach of the USF men's basketball team. He came to the Bulls from the University of Kentucky. For many people, athletics were a big part of their college years, either as a player or as a fan. Here's this week's edition of USF Memories.
I enjoyed going to sporting events when I was a student here, and especially the baseball and basketball games. And in the years since, my family and I continue to come down as alumni and enjoy football, basketball, and baseball. I think the sports are a great part of what makes USF important to the local community and also helps get our name out there nationally.
Well, probably the craziest thing that's happened so far is when I won a Fulbright Award to go do my research in Barbados.
My favorite memory is probably the faculty. Like, I'm here for the master's program, so obviously I like the people that that I work with, and I like the teachers, and I think their classes are taught, or the classes that they teach are very good, and that they're very informative. And like I said, I love working with these people. They're amazing people. They're smart. They're funny. They really know what they're talking about, and they're the cutting edge of their field.
More than 14,000 children live in the neighborhood surrounding the USF Tampa campus. It's an area once known as Suitcase City because of its poverty, crime, and transience. But life there began getting better in the 1990s when local, state, and federal agencies partnered with community leaders to improve conditions and to restore hope. Today, a member of that partnership is USF's Office of Community Engagement. Among its contributions, a community garden and help with literacy issues, things that are making a difference.
It took a good year to really get the community actively engaged in it because they just didn't think it was for them. And that's what you'll find a lot in the university area is there's not a lot of programs and services that they feel are truly for them. And so we wanted to really change that. And we said, by starting something in the heart of the community, and that's this park, this potential park is the heart of the community. And by starting something positive here, that's going to show residents, that's going to show the neighborhood that we really have a vested interest in seeing them grow and flourish here in this community. And not only grow and flourish, but really putting down roots in this community. That's what we're looking for.
Get that big one. See that big one over there? The big ones. I'm gonna plant everything I can plant. Peas, collard green, tomatoes, squash, anything. I just want to plant because I know that's what it's going to take. So I think it's a good idea. I have the children. They have children out here doing this. I think it's awesome. And it's fun. It's teach them something.
She was floating up and away.
Okay, we started the Literacy Nights in an effort to help our students connect to the community of bilingual learners out there, to help them be exposed to what culture is and how different cultures do literacy.
Free balloons today, he called. Come and get your free balloon.
An hour with
Flee
mom and
around
dad,
to the balloons.
learning the
tried to
same
get
thing
one.
together. So to have them in rooms in which they're learning how to put a story together, or learning vocabulary together, and then for parents to actually realize that they actually are the masters of their children's future, with regard to language and literacy, that they can do it, they can teach their child too. I think that's probably the most valuable of the lessons that the families get.
Where is Emily Elizabeth? Is Emily Elizabeth outside or inside?
Inside.
Inside. So that's our setting. That's where she is.
We speak Spanish at home, so I want to see more techniques to be able to read to them and for them to develop both languages equally. I want to read books to them in Spanish and for them to get the most out of it.
Can you tell me about the book? What's happening right here? Who's in here? Who's in the story?
Clifford.
And what's her name? Do you know? Emma.
Lee.
Yeah, what's her name?
Emily.
Yeah.
Last fall, USF was named as Florida's most engaged campus by Florida Campus Compact, in large part due to the work of the Office of Community Engagement and Partnerships. Dr. Harold Keller is the office director, and we welcome him today to University Beat. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. It was indeed an honor to get this award.
Talk a little bit about how you got that award. What did you do to get that kind of recognition?
Well, our office works, primarily supports faculty and students in two different ways of community engagement. One is through service learning courses, which are courses where the course content is connected to service activities out in the community. So there's a partner between the faculty and some community organization, and the activity connects directly to what the students are learning in the class. And a second type of community engagement is research, where the questions are framed together between the community organization and the faculty member, and they work on those projects together.
And of course, funding is a big issue. So how does your office help with that funding?
We provide small grants to faculty for the service learning courses. Many of the faculty, if they're teaching a lecture course and they want to convert it to a service learning course, we'll give them a small amount of money to figure out how to, and provide them consultation help to convert the course. Sometimes courses like the gardening course need gardening tools for the students, so we might purchase that. Sometimes students are out in the working with youth and they might need to be fingerprinted. We'll pay for the fingerprinting so the students don't have to pay for that.
You're involved in other issues too, large issues of social justice and poverty. How did you get involved in that, and why is that really important for this partnership?
These practices of service learning are particularly beneficial for students of color. The impact is greater in terms of raising grade point average. They're more likely to graduate on time. They're going to get career-related skills. So we're also working with how can we help these students give back to communities? How can we help majority students understand diversity within the community? And so we really emphasize projects where students of all colors, all backgrounds, can learn about people who are different from themselves.
And then how do you go from the theoretical conversation about race and social justice to something really concrete in the local community that USF is trying to serve?
Well, all of the activities are in fact practice. They're taking what is in the classroom, and the assignments are directly related to it. We work closely with the partners in the community. So what's important to community members, and how does what they're learning in the classroom, how can we take that and begin to apply it in the community?
Should someone in the community want to become involved in this partnership, how does that work?
Right, we have a person on our staff that is dedicated to partnership development, nurturing, sustaining. And so we have these match-up events where we educate faculty about the community partners, and we educate community partners about the realities of USF working within semester frames.
How can someone contact you?
Well, they can call our office directly, or they can get on the web and go to our website for information.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The USF Recreation Department is one of the more active organizations on campus, literally. Earlier this month, the department sponsored Adventure Week. The activities included a zipline beanbag toss, an outdoor cooking class, and a hammock hangout. And there was this, yoga at sunset. Some participants described the experience in their own words.
As you inhale, come up halfway, hands on the knees.
After this long semester, I really needed something to actually wind down, relax, and get in touch with myself. Getting in touch with your inner self and your body, and just taking your mind off of everything and just focusing all that energy inside. I don't know, it just takes so much stress away.
I feel like there's a lot of stress that I have on a daily basis, so yoga kind of gives me a chance to take time aside and relax.
Adventure Week's a lot of fun. You get, I love being outdoors, like I just said. So I like, the university sponsoring stuff outdoors. It's better than, study hours are good and everything that they sponsor, but this is something better, in my opinion.
I think we've been handling this semester a lot better since we started taking yoga classes together.
I agree.
But just giving someone a taste of being present in their body and being present where they are in this moment, then that can be very transformative. And I think if people start that at a young age, then that's a very, it's an opportune time for them to build that into a life practice.
We're always looking for interesting stories involving USF and its people. If there's one you'd like to see us cover, let us know. Our email is ubeat@wusf.org. Our website is universitybeattv.org. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search University Beats TV. That's University Beat for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Denise White.